everyone. So I did a lesson plan in Algebra 2, and it is simplifying rational expressions, which is part of the expressions and operations unit. And when I was thinking about how best to record, I realized that right now the only option I really have is to give you an overview of my lesson. It is a stations lesson plan, so I really can't represent that through this video right now with social distancing and everything. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain to you what my lesson would look like, and then I'm going to show you examples of some problems that would be given in my lesson, and then kind of show you my exit ticket for the day. This would be for 10th or 11th graders taking the Algebra 2 course, and it would last about an hour and 15 minutes, so it'd be really good for a block schedule. So, students will be continuing to learn how to completely simplify rational expressions in this lesson. So, the focus is that students will recognize that expressions must have numerators and denominators with common factors in order to simplify them. And this is a concept that must be continuously practiced so that students are able to fully grasp it, which is the purpose of today's lesson. And this is a concept that just has to be like practice, 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 or else students won't really fully understand it. And that's kind of what today's lesson is, because it would be like a two-part lesson. So yesterday would be learning the actual material. Today would be just the practicing through these 4 stations. And so my justification would be that in Algebra 1, students learn how to factor rational expressions, and they also learned how to simplify fractions. So like looking at this lesson plan, it says such as 18 over 24, which is easy. Kids could do that super quickly, like they know that. And now the next step of their learning is to combine these two mathematical processes, and students must be able to correctly and completely simplify rational expressions before they are able to move on to simplifying complex expressions and finding things like least common multiples, which requires multiplication and division of fractions. So it's like a step-by-step process. So they learned the basics of completely simplifying rational expressions yesterday, and they learned that the fraction can only be simplified if numerators and denominators had common factors. So the purpose of today's lesson is just to practice and become more comfortable in this, and emphasizing that numerators and denominators must have common factors in order to be simplified. So pretty much they're just practicing what they learned yesterday and getting extra help from their co-teachers. So learning objectives. So students will be able to completely and correctly simplify rational expressions. And a big thing is that it's complete and it's correct, because sometimes you can simplify, but it's not complete. And you can stop halfway through or not fully. So you want to make sure students are completely going through the process. And then for students, their learning target is I can completely and correctly simplify rational expressions. So it's really to the point, and the learning standard or the content standard is interpreting the structure of expressions. So it's recognizing and using the structure of an expression to identify ways to rewrite it. So they are rewriting the expression by simplifying it. It's the same expression, but they're breaking it down, and they are crossing like factors out, or common factors, whichever term they want to use, and they are rewriting that same expression in a different way. So I'm going to come back up to the assessments. So students are going to come into class, and they have assigned seats, and they're going to do the warm-up for the day. And the warm-up is going to be posted on the Smartboard, and they're going to complete it in their math journals, which is part of their everyday routine. And they have the problems that are posted on the Smartboard, and the purpose of those 4 problems is just to get their mindset into factoring. And the 4th problem that they're going to do, they're all right here, is that's to get them thinking about, okay, here's canceling out the common terms, and that's a rational expression, so we have to simplify completely. So that'll lead into the conversation for today's lesson. Students are then going to talk turn and talk to their table partners to discuss their answers for the 4 warm-up questions. So again, this was just to get them thinking about like the mindset of factoring and recognizing those common terms. But a big thing about this warm-up is that the 3 co-teachers are going to circulate the room as students are completing this warm-up to assist, and then they're going to listen in on the turn and talk conversations to get an understanding of where students are standing. So then after they have time to turn and talk, students are going to come back for a whole group discussion where 4 volunteers are going to come up to the board and the smart board and write their answers to the questions. So the classroom teacher after that is going to verbally talk through factoring steps of each expression and allow students to ask questions, which is really important to get that clarification and maybe emphasize a few things. And then the teacher's going to focus on the 4th expression because that's going to lead into the lesson. So after that, there's going to be a brief overview of what was learned yesterday. So rundown, have students like comment on the numerator and denominator being common, all of that stuff. And then students are going to be split into groups, which are going to be mixed abilities. And they're going to be 4 groups of 6 students each. And they're going to be posted on the smart board. And students are just going to go to their first assigned station. So there's going to be 4 stations, obviously. And those will be for about 19 to 21 minutes, I said, each. So station 1 is independent. So there's no teacher at this station. Students will be told what's expected of them. And each student has a Chromebook, which is important to know. So they will be watching individual instructional videos and filling out a graphic organizer. And the graphic organizer will be online, and it'll be, which is in the Google Classroom, which is where the video will be also. And then there's going to be a pencil and paper one as well to fill out. So students will be watching a Khan Academy video on simplifying rational expressions. Independently on their Chromebooks. They'll have headphones and they'll have the video and then they'll have the graphic organizer. So they're just going to fill out as they watch the video. So the point is that they'll be able to refresh what they learned yesterday about simplifying rational expressions, and they'll hear it from someone other than one of their teachers. And they will fill out the graphic organizer as they go, so they'll be able to digest that information, take notes, like remember everything. They can pause it as they need because they're working individually. So that's station 1. Station 2 is Kahoot. So this station will be led by one of the 3 co-teachers and will take place in the front of the room using the smart board. Students will use their Chromebooks to log into the game. And the game's just going to have a bunch of practice problems for simplifying rational expressions. And students can have this like a piece of scrap paper to solve problems if they wish. And the teacher will review questions if he or she feels the need to do so, or like needs to explain a process because they can like pause the game. The teacher can also choose to have a student in the group explain reasoning behind their answer choice, which can keep the game interactive and make sure it's not just like a game for students to click in an answer, and make sure students are actually thinking about the process of simplifying rational expressions. It's also important that if majority of students gets the answer wrong, then the co-teacher will go over the answer and the question. Station 3 is whiteboard practice. So the station will also be led by one of the 3 co-teachers, and students will put their desks in a U shape around that teacher and be given an individual whiteboard, dry erase marker, and an eraser, and the teacher will write a problem on the whiteboard that requires students to simplify rational expressions completely and hold it up like in front of them for the teacher to see after they finish. And that will give students, like, they have to have each step so that the teacher can see like what they were thinking, and they have to explain them if they're asked. So like, why did you do this step? Like, what were you thinking? Why'd you cross that out? Like, why'd you cancel this? Is that a common factor? Everything. So the teacher will point out different aspects too of each question, and sometimes ask students to explain their thinking in that small group. Prior to the students beginning the examples on the whiteboards, teacher may ask a few questions like, what are we looking for when simplifying expressions, just to keep it so it's not just like, okay, write your question or write your answer to the question. You want to keep it still like interactive, still learning, but the whiteboards are a great way to do that. But they want to keep an emphasis on that common numerators and denominators, common factors. And station 4 is verbal practice and worksheets. So the purpose of this station is to get independent practice, but also work with a co-teacher. So the students will be working independently on a worksheet, and which I will show you, but there's going to be a co-teacher at this station who goes around and works with each one of the 6 kids independently. But the purpose is to have the students speak their process to the co-teacher. So verbally reading these expressions out loud is a huge part of math, and you have to be able to express the expressions and verbally correctly say them. So the station will allow students to practice and get individual time with the teacher, but the teacher also will be able to take note of which students can verbally speak and understand like that, okay, this is multiplied by this, and this gets canceled out by this, and this is why, because that'll set the precedent for tomorrow's lesson, in which students need to be pulled to learn how to speak the mathematical processes. So that is what that station consists of. So they will be getting individual practice, but they are also working with the teacher one-on-one in this station. And the teacher also has the discretion to say, okay, all 6 of you come together. I want to go over how to verbally speak this problem after every student has been met with individually. Then all students will go back to their assigned seats after all 4 stations have been completed. They can ask questions about simplifying rational expressions. Then they're going to complete their exit ticket. So the exit ticket is kind of cool, which I'll show you, because the students can choose 3 out of the 5 rational expressions on this exit ticket to to simplify completely. So they can choose 3 out of 5, which gives them that choice. It gives them, okay, maybe I don't know this one, but I know this one, and it makes them feel like, oh wait, I can choose. So then there is a bonus. They know how to do this. They're gonna look at it and think they don't. But it's the same process, it's just a few more times. So I put this on there too as a bonus. And this is also part of the challenging, so students who do complete the work quicker, maybe that independent sheet, worksheet for the station, so this is the worksheet that students will be given, Simplifying Rational Expressions worksheet. And then this is the extension worksheet. So say students fly through this one at that station, they're going to be given this worksheet. So they have to simplify these completely. It is the same process, they just have to do it a few more times in order to get the answer, so they know how to do it. They just have to break the problem down further. So that's pretty much the lesson. The summative assessment for this lesson, or for this unit, it's not going to be a test. It's going to be, the students are going to have a choice of how they want to present their learning, but since the end result of this is to perform operations on rational expressions, they are going to have to choose a mode. So it could be a YouTube, a vlog, a PowerPoint, and they're going to have to perform operations, but they're going to have to teach people how to do it, that don't know how, and show the processes, show how to simplify, show how to perform those operations, and that's their final project instead of a test. So that is my lesson plan. Thank you.